So before we begin, I just want to acknowledge that we're meeting on the traditional, ancestral, unceded territories of the First Nations and Native American peoples. So here where I am in Vancouver, those peoples are the Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish nations. But I know where many of you are, you're on the land of other nations. So feel free to put those in the chat if you'd like. Always, but especially during this difficult time, let's remember our connection to our sisters and brothers in these nations and pray for the day in which we might be with them in right relationship. So welcome to Living Interfaith. Know that the whole of you is welcome. You're not asked to leave who you are in your own homes. Please bring who you are in with you. But what you are asked to remember is that everyone around you has brought who they are in with them as well. And all of goodwill are welcome. When you're ready, let's sing, Bruce and Cheryl.
Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of living, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of living, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of living, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come.
Beautiful, thank you so much. So I have just a few announcements. The first one is next Friday, March 25th at 7 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Our Baha'i friends here in Vancouver will be holding their monthly online gathering. So everyone is welcome to attend that if you're interested. It will include a brief presentation about the Baha'i faith and then a longer presentation about whichever topic the group would like to discuss that month. And they kind of rotate depending on who is leading the discussion at that time. So if you're interested, you're welcome to join. We've met some of their folks before. That's where Kamran was with us earlier this year, and Sarvanez, they're in that community. So they'd love to see us if we'd like to join. That's Friday night at 7 p.m. Next Sunday, March 27th at 3 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, our friends from the Surrey Interfaith Council are going to be holding a gathering in connection with the Circles for Reconciliation organization. So I mentioned this once before, so it's just coming up next Sunday. So this group teaches faith communities about the 94 calls to action that are specific to those of us in faith groups that come from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's report. So there are like hundreds of calls to action within the report, and 94 of them are specific to those of us in faith communities. So they work with groups to teach us what we can do so we can live into reconciliation and actually work alongside our Indigenous friends and sisters and brothers. So if folks would like to join for that, we've already, our group has already contributed towards the event, but we want to have us there so we can take notes and figure out what we can do here for reconciliation. So let me know either in the chat or by email or just chatting with me if you'd like to join that discussion. It should be really helpful. So thank you. And finally, the Vancouver School of Theology will be holding our annual Interreligious Studies Conference. So it's going to be Tuesday, May 24th through Thursday, May 26th. So it'll be starting that night on Tuesday. So the keynote address will be the first night, and that part's free. So some folks just come for that. And it should be really good. It's going to be Reverend Dr. Randy Woodley from the Cherokee Nation, and he'll be talking about the Indigenous vision for creation and community. So if you want to register just for his talk, I took a class with him once and it was incredible. So I highly recommend that. So this is free just for his talk, and I'll put that in the chat. Perfect. And so you can sign up just for that part. or if not, the rest of the conference will be the next 2 days, on May 25th and 6th. So it's going to feature workshops by Seth Klein, who wrote A Good War about fighting climate change. And also the Reverend Christine Boyle is both the Vancouver City Councillor and the founder of Fossil Free Faith. So they're going to do workshops. There's also going to be a multicultural panel discussion on our different faith responses to climate change, and around 40 other talks from scholars and activists on what we can do to help heal the planet. So if you'd like to sign up for the rest of the conference, you can. That's on a slightly different page, so I'll put that in the chat. And so those are my announcements. Does anyone else have any announcements? And feel free to share them with us now. Okay, thanks so much. Let's come into silence for a moment. Our opening prayer is a prayer for the resurrection of the earth. The death sleep of winter has slowly faded. The rigor of the ground loosens, and the earth is once more reborn. Like Mithras and Osiris, reborn from death, life returns again to the land, springing up as the snow melts away, as the soil warms and the days grow longer. Dew forms along new sprouts of grass, bringing life back. Let us awaken, 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 and rise. Let the earth come to life again, and welcome the light of spring. Hail, bright maiden of quicksilver delight, shine upon us, equal day and equal night. Where in our lives do we need more balance? Now, if you'll join me in a passing of the peace, you can unmute and share peace with everyone. Peace. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Peace to all.
Peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Shalom.
Peace,
Peace.
everyone.
Peace be with you.
To all. Peace. Peace be with you too.
My heart to yours.
Peace be with you. Good to see you. Haven't been here for a while. So glad I'm here.
And peace be with all of you.
Beautiful. Thank you. Peace, everyone. When you're ready, let's sing.
Sweet water and warm sun, bless us. Sweet water and warm sun, bless us. Oh, spring comes, oh, begins in us. Oh, spring comes, oh, begins in us. Out come the leaves, up comes the grass. Oh, seeds and eggs, oh, Ostara. Oh, seeds and eggs, oh, Ostara. Sweet water and warm sun, bless us. Sweet water and warm sun, bless us. Oh, spring comes, oh, begins in us. Oh, spring comes, oh, begins in us. Out come the leaves, up comes the grass. Oh, seeds and eggs, oh, Ostara. Oh, seeds and eggs, oh, Ostara. Sweet water and warm sun, bless us. Sweet water and warm sun, bless us. Oh, spring comes, oh, begins in us. Oh, spring comes, oh, begins in us. Out come the leaves, up comes the grass. Oh, seeds and eggs, oh, Ostara. Oh, seeds and eggs, oh, Ostara. Sweet water and sun, bless us. Sweet water and warm sun, bless us. Oh, spring comes, hope begins in us. Oh, spring comes, hope begins in us. Out come the leaves, up comes the grass. Oh, seeds and eggs, oh, Ostara. Oh, seeds and eggs, and Ostara.
Beautiful. What a lovely song. Thank you. So wonderful. Now, if you'll join me in our joint affirmation. We come together in peace. We sing together in joy and with love. We worship together in one house, a house with names beyond number. Our paths are many, our beliefs are as leaves, and the tree that we cleave to is nourished by the light of compassion, justice, and mutual respect. May our lives, our beliefs, and our actions help to bring about the world of love we all seek, and let it begin here. Thank you. Now is when we usually pray in our own homes and in our own ways for something in the world. As always, there are so many different things that need our prayers right now. I know I will spend this time praying for the folks in Ukraine and for all those fleeing Ukraine, that they may be safe. And also the refugees around the world who are fleeing other countries, Yemen and Syria and Afghanistan and Palestine. We pray for them as well, that they might all be received just as welcome, with just as open arms, and be protected. So let's pray now for either refugees or others in the world. Thank you. And when you're ready, let's sing.
She changes everything she touches, and everything she touches changes. She changes everything she touches, and everything she touches changes. Her name cannot be spoken, her face was not forgotten. Her power is to open, her promise can never be broken. All seeds she deeply buries, she weaves the thread of seasons. Her secret darkness carries, she loves beyond all reason. She changes everything she touches, and everything she touches changes. She changes everything she touches, and everything she touches changes. All sleeping seeds she wakens, the rainbow is Now winter's power is taken, in love all chains are broken. Everything lost is found again, in a new form and in a new way. Everything hurt is healed again, in a new time, in a new day. She changes everything she touches, and everything she touches changes. She changes everything she touches, and everything she touches changes. She changes everything she touches, and everything she touches changes. She changes everything she touches, and everything she touches changes.
Fantastic. What a great song. Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you so much. We're so lucky, as always, to have Bruce and Cheryl with us. Thank you. Thank you. As I usually say, now is when I usually pass around a basket. In lieu of that, I'll just put our donation page in the chat. So many of you already donate so much to keep us going and support us and help us thrive. So thank you for all your support. We're so grateful. And also, if you have any other funds left, if you want to send them towards Doctors Without Borders, that could really use your help, especially right now with everything going on. Or the Indian Residential School Survivor Society could also use some extra assistance during this time. Are there any, I know there are so many other groups that could also use some support right now. Are there any that folks would like to mention by name, either now by name or in the chat? Let us know.
Just a quick one that I wasn't aware of until it's logical, but it didn't hit until I saw it on the news. There's something called Meals on Wheels, which gets at meals and other things to older people who can't get out, and particularly in these COVID days. And with the rising gas prices, getting Meals on Wheels is more and more expensive. So if you happen to have a local Meals on Wheels, you Google your own, because they're all local. So I'm not going to ask you to donate to my local Meals on Wheels, but if you can support that, it helps to support your local seniors who can't otherwise feed themselves.
Absolutely. No, that's a really good idea. I hadn't thought of it either. So thank you, Stephen. And I see Carolyn says respectforwomen.org. If you want to go there, that would also that's a really important cause to support. So taking care. So thank you.
I was just going to support what Stephen had to say. I used to help deliver Meals on Wheels, and it is a really good support for seniors, absolutely. And there is a place in Bellingham, it's called Lighthouse Mission, and they support people who are in need of all kinds of help. It's medical, it's psychological, it's spiritual. It's a really good organization, so that might be kept in mind as well. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you so much. Thank you. Great. Well, when we're ready, Bruce and Cheryl, let's sing.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live.
Great, thank you so much. All right, now it's my joy to turn it over to Morgana Sythove from the Netherlands. Morgana is I'm trying to remember, I think it's the international consultant for Pagan Federation International. Is that correct?
International coordinator.
International coordinator. Perfect.
Yeah. Yes.
So you are a Wiccan elder who's been doing this work for 40 years, I believe. Is that correct?
Something like that. Most of my life, in any way. Yeah, that's correct.
Well, we're so happy to have her here today to celebrate Ostara and teach us more about Wicca. So thank you, Morgana. Over to you.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. I was actually lighting the candle beforehand. I was having a bit of difficulty, but the candle is a light. And as I showed a couple of people before we started, here I have from my own garden, the first daffodils, which I always love. But I'm going to give you a little presentation and hopefully help you a little bit to understand where I'm coming from a Wicca background. I'm not sure if everybody knows what Wicca is, but I'll also try to explain what Wicca is as well. So I'm going to start sharing screens now. Just a moment. So can everybody see? Celebrating Spring Equinox with Morgana. So who is Morgana? Well, Kathy's just explained that I've been involved with Wicca, with paganism for most of my life. I think as a child, I was already connecting with invisible friends, perhaps some of us would call spiritual guides, but certainly with animals. And I know my mother said that I always seem to have invisible friends, and I thought, well, they're not very invisible to me. I think a lot of parents will recognize the children when they talk to invisible friends, that you'll know exactly what I mean. But today we're celebrating Spring Equinox. On March 21st, it will be Spring Equinox, certainly in the Northern Hemisphere. Of course, in the Southern Hemisphere, it will be completely the opposite. Of course, it's more autumn time in the Southern Hemisphere. The equinox, as the word indicates, the hours of day and night are in equilibrium. From the spring equinox, the days will become longer as we approach the summer and the light half of the year. From the autumn equinox, the days will become shorter as we move towards the winter and dark half of the year. In the Wiccan Wheel of the year, spring equinox is the time when nature truly awakens. This year, it's also on March the 18th, a couple of days ago, we celebrated the full moon. And the full moon in our calendar is, as you might expect, awakening moon. I'd like you to half close your eyes. As we know, sometimes it's nice if you can't get this squinting but real view between the worlds. As we walk between the worlds, we enter the world of spirit. Many of you in your own traditions will have a kind of circle that protects you. So in your mind's eye, draw the circle around you. In the center of the circle, you'll have some bulbs growing in a crystal vase, as I've just shown you, some hyacinths or daffodils. There is also a chalice of clear crystal water. Today, we will enter the world of plants. Feel your body sink deep into the earth. As you sink further away, You feel totally immersed. You can't see anything, you can only feel. Take a while to get used to this new environment. You notice how your breathing changes. Relax. Don't fight the heaviness. Enjoy the silence. Slowly, you become aware of a change. There is a white mist surrounding you. It is pulling you from all sides. Let yourself go. You can move, but it is different than normal. What can you see? What can you feel? What can you smell? What can you hear? There is something pulling you again, this time with a greater urgency. Now the colors, the rainbow colors, as the light hits the crystal water, and you can feel the warmth. What is happening? Feel the water in your very being, the green waters of life. The green waters of life which vitalize our souls. As it is getting lighter in color, it is also getting lighter in weight. What you see, what you feel, what you hear. When you are ready, gather your normal senses. The world becomes denser. You feel the oxygen in your lungs. Take your time to breathe normally. Stand up straight on the firm earth. Take the crystal glass of water or sparkling white wine if you like. Hold it in your hands. Look to the full moon, the awakening moon, and feel how the moon is blessing you as you drink from the crystal well. Feel it permeate your whole body, washing away the last remnants of the winter, revitalizing, refreshing the green waters of life. O radiant of day, to thou art a bright luminary before us, to thou who art a brilliant emerald above us, to thou who lights the path beneath us. Green waters of life, vitalize our souls. Electric blue breath invigorates our lungs. Fresh energy of spring, fill our hearts with love. Red serpent coiled as an egg, holding the mystery, the seed of new life. Perhaps there is someone who you know who desperately needs this energy, somebody who's close to you. And bless your loved ones that they may be invigorated at this time of the new awakening and spring equinox. Remember those who are with us, but astrally. Remember those who can't be with us today, but will feel those blessings that you're sending to them right now. Our hearts go out to the people of Ukraine. Here you see before you the logo of Pagan Federation International from Ukraine. We have recently been using this logo, this mandala, as a focal point for all those people who are suffering from war, suffering from violence during the last few days. Let us hold close in our hearts all living beings impacted by the destruction of war. Let us reach out in unity and solidarity and call upon the help and blessings of Berenier, she who stands as a symbol of independence of a free Ukraine. Let's say together, we call upon the spirits of the land, the beloved Bereniers, sacred spirits of rivers and streams, of healing and protection, of this glorious land, of the golden fields under bright blue skies, to heal, guard, bless and keep safe all from harm, women, children and men, our brothers and sisters, and our fellow beings, the animals, domestic and wild, and the lay of the land, the hills and valleys, rivers and fields. We call upon you and ask your blessings to stop the pestilence and crimes of war and to restore peace to the souls of all living beings. Blessed be. Please continue to light a candle and use the PFI logo as a mandala to remember Ukraine, the granary of Europe. Hold everybody who is suffering at the moment and hold them in your thoughts and prayers. Here you can see what many will recognize as being perhaps Easter eggs. But of course, these are the eggs which are painted also in Poland. It's very much part of the Slavic tradition. It's called the art of Pisanski, at least in Polish. And here we see that Berenier is the second egg. These are actually eggs that have been painted by our friend Rowan Fairgrove. She is also part of our Interfaith community. She's based in America, but she too is reaching out, as many of us are, to the Slavic tradition to speak to Berenier, to save those people. So perhaps at Easter, you would like to paint an egg in the traditional artwork of what we call Pisanski. This is a scene which many of you will recognize as being perhaps the greatest symbol of spring, the daffodils. So to all of you, the brightest of blessings at spring equinox. Here are some of the references I've used, and the call to Berenier written by Good and Harveston. I will actually post it for you on the chat. But I've also said to Kathy that I will be sending this presentation so that you can look at it perhaps later along with my notes. So Don't worry if it went a little bit too fast. There is so much from the Slavic tradition that we can learn, and their love for trees, their love for nature is unabounding, and it's so important to our Wiccan way of life as well. So this was a beautiful opportunity. Thank you, Kathy, again in cooperation with the Living Interfaith Sanctuary and Pagan Federation International. Thank you.
It was so beautiful, Morgana. Thank you so much. It was wonderful.
It's wonderful to be able to share, because so many people, especially in Canada and the United States, who have roots in Eastern Europe, from Poland, from the Czech Republic, from Russia, but also again the west part of Europe, whether it's England or Wales or Scotland or the Netherlands. I say the Netherlands, the Dutch people who have been in feeling very much at home in Canada. Let's think about all of us, especially in Europe now, that we're dealing with so many refugees now. 3.3 million Ukrainians fleeing the country, but also there are also people in Russia fleeing the country who do not agree, and actually don't agree with what Putin's talking about. So we too need to also remember that there are many people on the run now simply because of this horrible threat of war and the destruction it brings. So I would ask you all, you were just asking for donations. I do know some organizations in Poland who are very similar to the Red Cross, but they're very grassroots people. Some of my Polish friends are receiving many of the Ukraine refugees at the moment, especially because at the moment Ukraine men cannot leave the country because they're been asked to fight. So between 18 and 60, many of the men cannot leave the country, meaning that the majority of the refugees at the moment are women and children. And so what's happening is that the again, my friends in Poland, particularly in Poland, who have a very strong connection with Ukraine, they're actually saying that the women and children who are coming, they're trying to get them into the country because they're so traumatized. So I have a couple of addresses of people you can donate money to. I'll put that in the chat if later. If not, I'll do it. So I'll send them to Kathy anyway. So every cent helps, but there are also, it's just undescribable. We just cannot believe this is happening. And yeah.
Morgana, if I can
add there's Catherine. Yes.
Yes.
Oh, there's Catherine. Yes, please add. Please add,
if I
Catherine.
can add to this, I've been sitting in Toronto, but actually have been connecting people that I know in Poland with people that they need to help. So we've set up a little bit of a network, and it's mostly friend to friend, but it's relatives, people we know, the tribal belly dancing community, all sorts of people. And it's there was just a call out 2 days ago, I think, for a mother and child looking for a place to stay, and fortunately we were able to find some place for them. So we're a small group, but we're mighty.
Mm-hmm.
And the belly dancing troupe that I know in Warsaw actually had their first in-person performance in over 2 years, and all of the money that they got from the performance went to one of the groups that's helping in Poland, and they raised over $1,000.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah.
So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
But it's a lot. As I say, we have certainly from PFI, PFI Poland, PFI Ukraine. I'd just like to add, apart from one of the things that we've also trying to do is also help the people left in Ukraine. I have a really poignant story of actually our national coordinator for PFI Ukraine, who is actually transgender, and she doesn't always like to be addressed as she or he. She's a real moon priestess, but you can see what's going to happen. She gets to the border, she can't get to the west because in her passport she's still a male, and so again, there are so many people now who have been affected in the real root of their being, and so we've seen quite a lot. I know Catherine as well. We've been trying to help the transgender community as well. It's just crazy. It's just anyway. All your help, but certainly your prayers. Spiritual resilience is also your prayers are absolutely. That's why I said, please use the BFI Ukraine logo, perhaps as a mandala, so all the energy is going to the spirits of the land. For us, the spirits of the land are also very important, and for the living environment, of course, it's extremely important. So not just people, but also animals, but also the land itself, which is so impacted by any kind of violence. Thank you, Catherine, for reminding us. Louisa is also working she's working with helping people from Eastern Ukraine, because it's as far as it can get out. So they're getting cars going backwards and forwards, trying to get people into safer areas. But it's a coordinated effort. So thank you again. Thank you, Catherine, for mentioning that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Morgana. That was so beautiful. And I really appreciate you highlighting the work that needs to be done and the groups that are doing the work to help. If you do want to share those, I can put them, either I can send out an email to folks or we can have them in the chat just so we know which groups to donate to. That would be good. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I know Bruce and Cheryl have one more song for us, and then I'll do a closing prayer. And then would you be available just a little bit after if folks have any questions for you? For a short Q&A, is that okay? Yeah, that'd be okay. Okay, great. When you're ready, Bruce and Cheryl.
The earth is a woman and she will rise. The earth is a woman and she will rise. We will live in her. We will live in her. The earth is a woman and she will rise. The earth is a woman and she will rise. She will rise. The earth is a woman and she will rise. We will live in her. We will live in her. The earth is a woman and she will rise. The earth is a woman and she will rise. We will live in her.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Bruce and Cheryl. Friends, thank you so much for joining us today. Let us go forth in love, supporting one another, supporting those who are fleeing Ukraine, those who are still fighting in Ukraine, remembering that we're all in connection to one another and in connection to the earth. Happy spring. Let us all awaken. Amen.